For 50 years, Las Vegas had one answer to every question. You want entertainment? Gamble. You want a show? Gamble first. You want dinner, a room, a reason to stay? All of it exists to get you back to the tables. The Strip was a machine, and every part of it served the same function. Then one man looked at that machine, decided it wasn't enough, and built a volcano in front of his hotel. Within 5 years of that volcano, there was a working medieval castle at the busiest intersection on the boulevard. A genuine Egyptian pyramid firing a beam of light so powerful that airline pilots reported seeing it from cruising altitude over Los Angeles. A full naval battle staged on the public sidewalk every night, free for anyone who happened to be walking past. It happened because one financial result was so absurdly large that it made an entire industry throw out everything it thought it knew about building hotels and start completely from scratch.
And once it started, it could not stop. With the help of AI, let's reconstruct this time period and explore it together.
The volcano that lit the fuse, the number that changed everything, was $1 million. Not in total, per day. That was what Steve Wynn's new resort needed to generate every single day just to service the debt it had taken on to get built. $630 million in construction costs, more than had ever been spent on a single hotel in history, financed largely through junk bonds at high interest rates. Every financial analyst in Nevada was quietly waiting for the whole thing to collapse. On November 22, 1989, the Mirage opened on Las Vegas Boulevard, with the Frontier as its immediate northern neighbor, and by the end of the first week it was clear that every single doubter had misread what was happening on this road. The building itself was a 29-story curved tower, wrapped in gold-tinted glass that caught the Mojave sunlight differently at every hour of the day. Up close, the entrance was framed by real palm trees, actual tropical landscaping, and waterfalls that had no geographical right to exist in the middle of the Nevada desert. But none of that stopped traffic on Las Vegas Boulevard. What stopped traffic was the volcano. Wynn had built a 54-foot artificial volcano in a landscaped lagoon, positioned directly on the Strip, visible from both directions long before you reached the property. Every 15 minutes after dark, it erupted. Real fireballs rolled into the Nevada sky. The lagoon churned and surged. A deep programmed rumble moved through the ground before your ears registered the sound. Drivers pulled over. Pedestrians stopped mid-step. Crowds gathered on a public sidewalk to watch something that cost them absolutely nothing to see. That last part was not an accident. It was the entire strategy. Before the Mirage, Las Vegas sold gambling. Wynn understood something the industry had missed for 50 years. He was not selling gambling, he was selling the feeling of arriving somewhere extraordinary. And if he could manufacture that feeling on the sidewalk before a single guest had walked through the door or spent $1, he had already won the only competition that actually mattered on this road: the competition for attention. The Mirage hit its $1 million daily target and exceeded it consistently. Las Vegas tourism jumped 16% in 1990, one of the largest year-over-year increases in the city's history. Every developer who saw those numbers heard the same thing: build a show, make it impossible to look away, and the money follows. The 1990s were officially on. The theory that built a castle. Here is where the story gets genuinely strange, because once the volcano proved that spectacle paid, the question became what to build next. And the answer that emerged from boardrooms across Las Vegas in 1990 was one that, in hindsight, sounds almost too strange to be real. The answer was families. Las Vegas had been adults only by design and reputation since its first casino opened. Not by accident, it was a deliberate identity baked into every low ceiling and windowless room on the boulevard. But market researchers were pointing at something the industry couldn't dismiss. The baby boomers were hitting their 40s with kids and money and nowhere obvious to take them. Disney had been printing cash for decades by solving that exact problem. The theory, when you say it out loud, sounds straightforward enough. Build something the whole family can come to. Give parents a reason to choose Las Vegas the way they'd choose Orlando. What nobody stopped to properly think through was whether Las Vegas could actually be that place, or whether it even wanted to be. On June 19, 1990, Excalibur opened at the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Tropicana Avenue, and it announced the family era of the Strip in the most literal way imaginable. Excalibur was not a casino with castle-themed decor. It was not a hotel with some medieval motifs in the lobby. It was a castle, 4 full towers rising above the Strip at one of its busiest intersections, a central keep taller than the rest, a moat running the full perimeter, and a working drawbridge as the primary entrance from Las Vegas Boulevard. The entire structure covered approximately 50 acres at the corner of Tropicana and the Strip, and contained over 4,000 hotel rooms, making it the largest hotel on Earth by room count on the day it opened. Circus Enterprises built it, and they built it to be seen from a mile away in both directions. There was no angle from which a driver on Las Vegas Boulevard could miss it. It sat at that corner like a challenge to everyone else on the road. Inside, the commitment to the concept ran all the way through, a full jousting arena in the basement level where performers staged medieval tournaments while guests ate with their hands, a Renaissance fair food court, jesters moving through the casino floor, a magician's stage. The whole thing operated on the sincere belief that a moat was a legitimate competitive advantage in the hotel industry. On opening day, 30,000 people showed up. The line to get inside stretched back across the drawbridge and onto the boulevard. And the part that validated everything, Excalibur was immediately, massively profitable. Not after a slow build, immediately. Which told every other developer on the Strip with complete clarity that if you built something large enough, strange enough, and planted it at the right intersection, people would pack their families into cars and drive across the desert just to stand in front of it. The experiment had its answer. Now everyone wanted to build their own castle, or in one case, a pyramid. The pyramid and the beam. 3 years later, the southern end of Las Vegas Boulevard had become the most concentrated construction zone in American hotel history. And on October 13, 1993, the decade's most visually extreme statement opened its doors. The Luxor, a 30-story pyramid. Not a building shaped vaguely like a pyramid, a geometrically precise, architecturally faithful pyramid standing 350 feet tall, clad in dark bronze-tinted glass that absorbed the desert sun during the day and glowed differently at night, sitting directly on Las Vegas Boulevard, just south of Excalibur. Circus Enterprises built it and positioned it so the full triangular profile was visible from both directions on the Strip. Every car on the boulevard got the same image. An Egyptian pyramid dropped into the Nevada desert, as if it had always been there, and you had simply never looked up before. From the apex of that pyramid, a 273,000-watt beam of light fired straight up into the sky. The sky beam. Commercial pilots logged sightings from cruising altitude over Los Angeles, more than 250 miles away. Insects swarmed the beam in such numbers that a self-sustaining ecosystem of bats and owls formed around it and never left. The lamp room, located just below the pyramid's tip, reached temperatures of 300 degrees Fahrenheit while the lights were running. It became, in those early years, the most powerful concentrated beam of artificial light on the surface of the Earth. Pointing at nothing, illuminating nothing. A declaration written across the Mojave sky that something worth seeing existed at this location, and you should come down and see it. Inside, the Egyptian theme ran deep. Full-scale replica temple facades anchored the atrium. Hieroglyphic detail covered every surface. The elevators traveled at a 39-degree angle up the interior wall of the pyramid. They called them inclinators. Nobody at Circus thought this was a strange thing to put in a brochure. Still with me? Because 12 days later, it got even more theatrical. Pirates on the Boulevard, on October 26, 1993. Treasure Island opened directly north of the Mirage on Las Vegas Boulevard, built on what had previously been the Mirage's parking lot and connected to its neighbor by a tram bridge running between the two properties. And if the pyramid was the decade's most visually dramatic statement, Treasure Island was its most purely theatrical one. The entire street-facing front of the resort was not a lobby or a driveway. It was a harbor, a full-scale lagoon with an 18th-century British frigate and a pirate ship anchored inside it, facing directly onto Las Vegas Boulevard in front of every car and pedestrian on the Strip. Every evening, multiple times a night, the two ships went to war. Actors staged a full naval battle called the Battle of Buccaneer Bay, with working cannons, pyrotechnics, explosions, and the British ship actually sinking on cue from the public sidewalk of one of the busiest roads in America, free for anyone who happened to be outside. The crowds it drew every single night were enormous. Almost none of them had paid a cent to watch. That was precisely the point. Pull them off the street, make them stop, make them curious, then get them through the doors. Now hold that image for a moment. You are standing at the Tropicana intersection in late October 1993, looking north. There is a medieval castle with a working moat directly to your left. An Egyptian pyramid with a space-visible light beam is behind you. A pirate battle is playing out 2 blocks ahead, and somewhere beyond that, a volcano is erupting on a 15-minute timer. All of it built inside 36 months. None of it existed in 1990. This is what the Strip looked like in October 1993, and the year still had 2 months left. The biggest hotel on Earth. On December 18, 1993, the MGM Grand opened directly across Tropicana Avenue from Excalibur. Kirk Kerkorian had built more than 5,000 rooms on 112 acres at a cost of $1 billion. The largest hotel on Earth, planted at the same intersection as the largest hotel that had held that title 18 months earlier. It also came with a theme park covering 33 acres behind it, making no attempt to hide what the Strip was trying to become. The one thing people remember about the original MGM Grand is a mistake. The main entrance was a giant fiberglass lion head. Guests walked through its open mouth to get inside. A significant portion of Asian visitors, a critical, high-spending demographic, refused to use it. In Chinese culture, walking into the mouth of a predator is considered deeply bad luck. Many used the back entrance instead. The lion head came down in 1997. By the end of 1993, 4 mega resorts had opened on a single stretch of the Strip inside 36 months. The 4 corners of one intersection held 4 of the largest hotel properties ever built on the same day. That had never happened anywhere on Earth before. It has never happened since. What the experiment actually proved. Here is the part of this story that almost never gets told the right way. The family era of Las Vegas failed. The MGM Grand Adventures theme park closed in 2000, years of attendance figures that never reached projections. Treasure Island retired the Battle of Buccaneer Bay in 2003, replaced it with an adults-only show, then closed that too a decade later. Excalibur's jousting show wound down. The Luxor's King Tut Museum exhibit closed. One by one, across the late 90s and into the following decade, every element specifically built for families with children was stripped out, shut down, or quietly converted into something aimed at high-spending adults. What Las Vegas had learned, at enormous cost, was that the fundamental economic engine of a resort on this boulevard had always been extended gambling from adults with money. Children don't play slots. Parents managing kids don't linger at the tables. The family destination model was pulling in the exact opposite direction from the business that actually kept the lights on, and no amount of castle towers or pyramid rides could bridge that gap. California was their main feeder market. California already had Disneyland. Nobody was driving their kids past a real theme park to reach a fake one inside a casino. But here is what makes this decade so fascinating. The spectacle survived every single one of those closures. The volcano kept erupting. The pyramid kept firing its beam. The castle kept standing at the corner. The pirate ships stayed in the lagoon long after the shows ended, because those things were never really for families at their core. They had always been for the driver who hadn't planned on stopping. For the first-time visitor deciding in a split second which property to walk into. For the image of an entire city broadcast outward through every photograph and television spot and magazine cover for a decade straight. Vegas never became Disneyland, but the years it spent trying. The billions spent, the castles built, the pyramids raised, produced something Disneyland could never replicate. A city where arriving feels like an event before you've done a single thing. Where the buildings themselves are the entertainment. Where you can stand on a public sidewalk, watch a ship sink and a pyramid glow and a volcano erupt, spend nothing, and still feel like you are standing somewhere unlike any other place on Earth. Steve Wynn understood that in 1989. The rest of the Strip spent billions of dollars and a decade learning the same lesson. By the end of the 90s, the Las Vegas Strip had been rebuilt from scratch. A road that had been aging resorts and open desert at the start of the decade was now a continuous wall of spectacle stretching the full length of the boulevard. One volcano in 1989 triggered all of it. And what it produced was a city that had stopped selling gambling and started selling something far harder to manufacture and far harder to replicate elsewhere. The feeling that this road, this specific mile of desert pavement, was the most extraordinary place you could possibly be standing right now.
If this one sparked your interest, please hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below telling me which era or place you want me to explore next.